One of the problems we've got with our political life at the moment is that the politicians are lazy and they don't do their job. They don't read the reports before going on the media. The other problem we've got is that the media and politicians are slightly too cosy. And both these things are visible over the Boris Johnson exit. So, for example, Brendan Clark-Smith, is that his name? Brendan Clark-Smith, who was interviewed by Victoria Derbyshire. And he was castigating the report by the committee, by Harriet Harman's committee, as spiteful, vindictive, and a kangaroo court. Well, Victoria Derbyshire then points out that that he doesn't seem to have read that report, and yet he goes on blustering, and then he says, I have a lot of respect for these committees, and she very firmly cuts in, no, you don't. You just called it a kangaroo court. He's confirmed that he will be voting against the committee report in the vote on Monday. Honesty in public life? Not that we can see from that interview. Why don't you want to stand up for integrity? She asked him. Well, you know, all he really wants to do is recite his slogans, and that's part of the problem of modern politics. It's a sloganising opportunity. We might as well be selling soap powder. But the other side is the way that Boris Johnson has lapsed from the Conservative Party directly into the Daily Mail, and he talks about unexpurgated stories may not be political. It's sort of a disgrace, really, that that the Daily Mail could, the day after he walks out of the House of Commons, take a disgraced Prime Minister and put him into a seriously well-paid column to talk about obesity drugs. But it tells us something about the relationship between the media and the government, how Lee Anderson walks straight into one of those TV shows. I think he's thinking about doing a Talk TV or GB News programme. The spin doctors coming out of the media, out of the BBC, out of the Daily Mail, straight into working in Number 10 and sometimes going back. The relationships between the political elite and the media elite are so cosy. We cannot expect the media to be holding these people to account. And it can only be the media who does that if the Labour Party isn't up to the job. That's why it's so essential to have a solid and functioning opposition. And that's why maybe over the next 18 months, Rishi Sunak needs to prepare his party for being a solid opposition to Keir Starmer's Labour Party, and to ensure that that party doesn't fracture the moment it goes into opposition. It is essential to our democracy that we have an opposition that functions, because we can't rely on the media to do that job for us, because the media is in bed with the political elite, as we have seen again and again. And you know, and even here, when I'm doing my stuff on YouTube, there is an assumption that I belong to one side or the other. I really don't. I know which side I belong to, and I will give them as hard a knock as I will give the other side. I don't care. At the moment, I feel I don't have a political party, incidentally, just so nobody is in any doubt. I feel my political party has disappeared. But I'm sure eventually it will be found. and I don't intend to be changing around. I've done too much of that, really. And if I never get a political party again, that's fine. That suits me fine. I will hold to account people in high office if I possibly can. I will question what they're doing, because I don't think anybody really is doing that. They're baying as if they're in some sort of, is it baying or braying? They're baying. I think they're braying, as in some sort of football crowd, just because they happen to be on one side rather than the other. They should be looking at the ideas, and they should be looking at the characters of the people who are presenting those ideas. Those two things go together. There is value in the personality, but it's that combination of the personality and the projects which needs to be questioned, held to account, investigated. And we should have been scrutinising Boris earlier, when maybe it could have had some value. There should have been more constructive support. He should have been called out earlier.